We are here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bringing news just for you. It's Monday, May 27th here in Seoul. I'm Song Yujin, and this is News Generation. We actually have a new panelist joining us today. She is Kwon Soa. Soa, welcome.
Hello, News Generation watchers. I'm Soa, and I've been with Arirang TV since 2012 as a weathercaster, news reporter, and now current freelance announcer. But today, call me Mong Soa, and we will tell you in a bit why.
Right, welcome Soa, and we also have Walter Lee joining us in the studio today.
Lovely to be here.
Lovely to have you. Now, both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. Now, as usual, we're going to start with our news feed, which covers different hashtags and news items that have been trending online over the past 24 hours. Today, Korea takes a significant step forward in space exploration. The Korea Aerospace Administration, often referred to as the Korean version of NASA, officially launches today in Sacheon, Gyeongsangnam-do Province. Yoon Young-bin, a professor of aerospace engineering at Seoul National University, has been appointed as the inaugural chief. Kaza will oversee the government's 5 major goals in the aerospace industry, which include space exploration, vehicle development, industry growth, security, and scientific research. The country is aiming to land its self-developed lunar lander on the moon by 2032. Now, moving on, in other news, there's been a lot of buzz online over the weekend about Fu Bao, the giant panda who recently moved to China. The conversation started after a picture of a giant panda believed to be Fu Bao was posted on the Chinese social media platform Weibo. The panda in the photo appears to have lost some hair and has a noticeable mark on its neck. Now, this led to speculation that Fu Bao might have been privately displayed for a select group of people. In response, the China Conservation and Research Center for the Giant Panda released a video of Fu Bao. However, some viewers are still noting that she doesn't appear to be in the same good condition as when she was in Korea, with what looks like a cut on her forehead. Finally, concerns are growing over the rise of socially reclusive millennials and Gen Zs, often referred to as hikikomori, a Japanese term describing individuals who isolate themselves from society for months or even years. Now, according to CNN, this phenomenon, which began in Asia, is now appearing in other parts of the world, including the United States, France, and Spain. Researchers suggest that the rise of the internet and the decline of face-to-face communication may be contributing factors. Additionally, they point to the younger generation's perfectionistic concern, where sensitivity to criticism and the pressure to meet high standards discourage them from engaging with the outside world. Now, in Korea, as of 2022, 2.4% of those aged 19 to 34, or about 244,000 individuals, were found to be living reclusively. Now, these hikikomoris are often at an age where they would typically be working or actively participating in society. So here in this studio, I also want to ask you, do you agree with all the reasons why we're mentioned above, why we're seeing more socially reclusive people, especially those in their younger generation? And do you also notice the severity of the situation?
Yeah, I do notice the severity of the situation. Obviously, what's happening around the world. I mean, we are MZ generation, we are the thumb generation, we are the social media generation. I guess with social media, it's starting to make people more, I guess, what you would call social, but not really. Some people feel like there's no need to meet anyone anymore because you keep track of other people's lives on social media. So therefore, you don't really need to meet them to update them on what's happening because you already can see what's happening on their Instagram or Twitter or whatever. I think countries like Korea and Japan especially are very hardworking societies, and it takes up a large portion of our lives. And some people are just getting too tired of this sort of lifestyle, and therefore they want to move away from everything, which I completely can relate to and get overwhelmed with. When I get really busy, all I want to do is kind of get away from everything as well. So I completely get why this is happening.
Right. Sometimes you just want to disconnect yourself from the world and take a rest on your own.
Yes.
Now, what are your thoughts on this, Hwa?
I think the fear of failing and not meeting the expectations of your family or society, that leads to a decline in self-esteem, especially among young Asians.
Right.
So I agree to those perfectionist concerns, as well as the pandemic having contributed to the rise in hikikomoris. But what else I believe is a factor factor that we should think of is the demographic change here in South Korea, especially the number of Koreans living alone just surpassed 10 million, so around 40% of the country's population. And this will make it more difficult to look after others and may lead to a higher chance of social withdrawal. And the issue also reminds me of a Korean investigative program, an episode of that program which showed young people living in trash houses where people do not clean up to the extent that they cannot have a place to even lie down or walk around. And many of those isolate themselves as well. So I think this used to be an issue for the elderly bracket, that is, and seeing this among the younger generations is really alarming.
Right, because at the end of the day, we need face-to-face communication because it's a people world and we're all connected, and that's what makes a society. And that was our news feed for this Monday. So we're now going to move on to our main discussion topic of the day. So have you ever heard about the Korean term 멍때리기, which directly translates to hitting 멍? Well, the term itself does not mean actually hitting something though. So if you haven't heard of what this is, take a look at the screen.
The Korean term 멍때리기 refers to spacing out or zoning out. It describes a state where you lose focus or awareness of our surroundings for a while. In the past, this was seen as a problem, a sign of being unfocused and wasting time. But today, it's become so popular that there's even a certified competition for it. So why has spacing out become so popular?
Right, as you've just seen from the VCR, the Seoul city government has been hosting the Hangang Spaceout competition for 10 years. And we actually have this year's champion with us in the studio. So, Soa, could you please show us your trophy and also your certificate? Hello, Soa? Are you there?
Oh, sorry, I was just spacing out.
She's really good at spacing out, as you can see. So
I am.
Please introduce your trophy and your certificate.
Right, so I won this prize, this trophy for that 멍때리기 event.
For this year?
Yeah, for this year. And it's a really interesting trophy that resembles Rodin's The Thinker, but also Korea's national treasure number 78, the pensive Bodhisattva, a Buddhist sculpture, and also the Korean traditional kat. The hat. And I also want to show you my certificate that I got for winning. And I don't know if you guys can see this here, but there's the graph showing how my heart beat was pumping throughout the 90 minutes event. So yes, I find it very intriguing being here on Arirang TV on this topic as a former Arirang reporter, but now a champ in spacing out.
Right, but the moment we found out that you became the winner of this year's Space Out competition, we were really eager to have you on our show. So we're super excited now.
Oh, thank you. And thanks for having me.
Now, as you mentioned, this competition is a 90-minute competition and measures your heart rate. But I think a lot of people will want to know more about this competition because it's become huge. It's been going on for 10 years. So I think a lot of our viewers might want to participate next year. So could you please tell us more about the rules and how you're selected, etc.?
Sure. So first off, you just have to do nothing.
Oh, it's actually hard.
It is that simple. So for 90 minutes, you're not allowed to do anything besides doing nothing. So you shouldn't be checking your phone or talk to others, eat, or fall asleep. So that could be actually a difficult task. And the judges go around to check whether you are abiding by the rules. And you also have some special cards with different colors for getting some water or a massage or a fan service. With fan service, I mean fan service. And then the audience picks their favorite top 10. In this year's competition, it was actually top 13 at the site. And the rest is evaluated through the heart rate. So if you have a steady or declining graph. Now, as Eugene mentioned, this was the 10th anniversary of the competition that's born through a visual artist called Yang, who came up with this idea after overcoming her burnout through investing time in doing nothing or spacing out. And she wanted others to experience the same.
Yeah, it really started with a good cause. And I heard that the competition just to enter the contest itself was really fierce, especially this year. So Soa, what do you think helped you most to win? And how do you just feel about becoming the champion?
Well, the competition ratio was 35-1. There were some 80 teams that competed against each other. And among them, there was an array of diverse people from all kinds of backgrounds. Well-known figures like short track speed skater Kwak Yoon-gi, also YouTubers, and an idol star, a fire police officer, a senior model, psychiatrist, and families competing as a team.
Wow.
So I actually thought it's going to be quite tough to compete against athletes or people in the medical field, as they appear to be good at controlling their minds and heartbeat. But it looks like I was slightly ahead of them. And about an analysis of my victory, I have a slow, stable heartbeat around 60 BPM, sometimes even lower. And also, I see myself as a mentally strong person. I don't really get easily swayed by what happens around me. And I also had a strategy. I had a 30-minute power nap before the event, because you're not allowed to fall asleep.
Right.
And 4 p.m. can be the time when you usually doze off. And also, I during the last 15 minutes, because my heart rate is recorded every 15 minutes, I decided to just lie down, so that way my heartbeat could even drop further. So yeah, it feels great to have won, but at the same time, it's a really funny feeling. Every time someone congratulates me, the person and I just burst out in laughter. So it was an effortless win, but in the end, I realized that I was doing the right thing when I spaced out in my daily life between my busy schedules to actually get my brain work better afterwards.
Right. I think Swa mentioned a very good point about giving your brain relaxation, giving it time to rest. So I think, Walter, this connects to our next question.
Yeah.
A lot of people are interested in spacing out these days. There must be some benefits, just like Swa mentioned. What do you think are some of the good sides of spacing out?
Well, I think, I've known Soa for quite some time. She's known as the most energetic person I know, so I'm surprised she actually won. But I would probably go see a doctor, Soa, after if your heartbeat is so low sometimes. But, well, I guess it's a form of meditation, isn't it? Like, spacing out has always been something that people do at times of when they're exhausted and they feel really tired. Many various researchers around the world have said that, spacing out can actually improve your work efficiency and improve your memory. So I think that's a great thing that you can space out.
Right, definitely a part of a rising wellness trend, especially among our generation. And just briefly, similar to this space out competition, I heard that there was recently a competition where you picked the best sleeper here in the country.
Yeah, so recently there was a sleeping competition as well. So not only is there spacing out, but there's also sleeping that happened recently. That also is where it's very similar, where they test your heart rate and make sure that the most comfortable sleeper wins. Yeah, so yeah, that's quite interesting. I might try and go into that next time.
Well, let's participate together.
Yeah, let's go together.
I'm going to be a strong rival.
And I also want to ask you, again, you to Walter,
Yeah.
are these like space out competitions or best sleeper competitions something that's only unique to Korea, or are there similar events around the world?
Okay, so neighboring countries, Japan and China, have also held these competitions, but also European countries such as Netherlands and Germany have also seen these space out competitions. But there are so many unique contests around the world. I mean, from frowning contests to ugly face contests to even in Finland, they have see who can stay in a sauna the longest, which actually sounds more dangerous than therapeutic. But yes, it's quite interesting that these contests are now making it global.
Actually, I want to add to that yesterday in Seoul, they had the international space out competition. So the winner there actually gets to participate abroad, but it was a rainy Sunday. So they actually did Bimong. So they were staring inside the rain. And we also have that 불멍 in Korea, where you just stare into the fire to space out.
Right. So these events are actually become bigger and more global. So now to learn more about why your generation is choosing these unique wellness trends, we're gonna invite a psychiatrist into our discussion. We'll be right back, so stay tuned. So today we're joined by Kim Jong-in, a board-certified addiction and forensic psychiatrist. Welcome, Dr. Kim, to the show.
Hi there. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you. Now, our first question for you is, do millennials and Gen Zs actually feel the need for more mental breaks or time to recharge their minds than other generations?
So the first observation is that some would argue that millennials and Gen Zs are better off than their parents' generation. They're wealthier, healthier, better educated. To an extent, that is true, but the survey and my personal clinical experience talking to a lot of different clients tell me that many are indeed worried, tired, and depressed. What could be going on? Most glaring observation about the millennials and the Gen Z is that omni-connectivity. Many are glued to the cell phones, especially to social media through them. Being on the cell phones, they're typically assumed to be a break, but checking messages, texting, reading ever-renewing feeds, and tweeting, they're all algorithmized by tech giants to be addictive, all overload and deplete our senses and cognitive reserve. On a related note, I also observed that being hyper-connected to social media may mean paradoxically more social isolation, encourages self-selective presentation, and may even undermine authentic human relationship. And another observation is that for this generation, the path to success has become much more murkier. It is common, especially among Korean students, as you know, to be told to study hard, go to a good university, and you will all be well off. But many are stressed and worried that this formulaic hard success and even punishing hours and stinting commitments no longer guarantees anything in this rapidly changing world.
So then for those millennials and Gen Zs, but also just basically any generation, what are some other methods besides spacing out that can help our brains rest, Dr. Kim?
Sure. So first thing that I tell my clients if they are seeking advice is first to unplug or take a break from sensor or information overload. It might be just 30 minutes to an hour per day or just 30 minutes per week. Find what works for you, but take a break from cell phones and take a break from Twitters, YouTubes, and those social media platforms. And during the spare time, fill that gap with activities that gives you a rest. For example, some people might take a nap. Some individuals may try carving out time for relaxation and contemplative practices like yoga and meditation. And some may try exercise. Exercise, in fact, is a time-tested way of providing our brain a rest. And any leisurely activity, like just walking of any intensity, can be protective against development of depression, in fact.
So are any millennials and Gen Zs doing anything different from Korea, like in the United States, to give their minds a break?
Sure. So I think people are trying a lot of different things. One of the things that have gained some traction is the idea of reclaiming one's inner peace through mindfulness. Mindfulness has become very popular in the United States. Many tech giants, for example, encourage and introduce meditation and mindfulness rooms, labyrinths and classes. Executives and business schools are actually incorporating mindfulness into their routine and curriculum. So that has really gained a lot of traction. There's a lot of popularity among people about taking a break from social media, what they call sometimes social media sabbatical, or unsubscribing from influencers or stressful tweeters. The idea of detoxing from social media has been pretty popular as well. And then thirdly, many in both US and Korea were once encouraged to hide their feelings. But I think that things have changed enough that a lot of people feel that it is okay to seek support. It's good that people do not feel the need to bottle up their feelings. And lastly, it's very important that if you're experiencing distressing or impairing symptoms, seeking professional help can go a long way.
Great. All right. Thank you, Dr. Kim, for your valuable insights today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Of course.
Great. So now we're going to turn now to our viewers if there are any special competitions or ways to relax their body and mind in their home countries. Now, here's what 3 of them had to say. So if you look at the comments, Benny says when the pandemic started, online yoga was one of the huge factors for students, teachers. Leon says in Singapore, traditional Chinese exercises like Qigong and Tai Chi are widely practiced in parks. And Infantry says online meditation classes have become kind of popular as well as yoga. So based on the comments from our viewers, a lot of millennials and Gen Zs are actually trying out these methods to take a break, help their minds take a break. So last but not least, I want to ask you guys here in the studio for, first of all, our Spaceout competition winner, any tips that you'd like to share that would help us practice this wellness trend?
Besides spacing out.
Right, besides spacing out, of course.
Well, I really like to go to a coffee shop, a quiet coffee shop with peaceful music and just have a coffee and maybe read. Or I like to go for a short walk or just sit on a bench and do nothing, just embrace the nature. Why is Walter laughing? You can't imagine me sitting on a bench,
Just
right?
sitting on a bench.
Yeah, and I just really want to mention also what Dr. Kim, of course, mentioned is that what you should not do when you want to relax. Do not watch TV and be on your smartphone when you want to relax.
Right, we actually talked about this. Digital detoxing does help relax your mind. What about you, Walter?
For me, it's things that I love to do, whether it be photography or videography. That de-stresses me as well. It makes my, even though it's sort of a job, it still makes my mind a bit more relaxed. So that's what I do. Or, like Toa said, go for walks. And yeah, so I was also laughing the fact that I go for walks because I don't really go for walks very often. But yes, that's what I would do.
Right, like having a decent hobby does actually help your mind take a rest too. Now that's all we have for today, but NewsGen is here every day from 9:30 to 10 a.m. Korea time, bringing you more topics young people are talking about. Special thanks today to Kwon-soa
Thank you.
and Walter Lee.
Lovely to be here.
Thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. We are
News Generation.
Generation.